The Neon Demon is a psychological horror film directed by Nicolas Refn that tells the story of a young girl named Jessie, who is an aspiring model who takes the fashion world by storm, but undergoes transformation from an innocent girl into the embodiment of vanity within an alternative world obsessed with beauty and competition with quite literal cutthroat rivals. The film, though, is actually more to be experienced, rather than taken at surface value, as there is so much more than meets the eye. This is stressed as characters engage in minimal dialogue, and instead communicate primarily through psychoanalytically curated images, where visuals are more telling than spoken word. The film uses a fabricated realm with stereotypes of the fashion industry as a backdrop for characters who serve as vehicles to explore very played-up vanity, tropes, and the concept of beauty, because it is such a deep and dark fabricated world that stresses appearance over substance.
True beauty is the highest currency we have.
And questions perception along with one's true values.
I said I think you're wrong.
Well, I think that if she wasn't beautiful, you wouldn't have even stopped to look. Beauty isn't everything, it's the only thing.
The details of the shots are equally as telling, such as the clothing of the characters. Even though fashion isn't the main focus of this film, ironically, it also serves and carries some of the most meaningful and deep symbolism of the film to the audience due to the construction, work, art, deeper meanings, and overall concepts behind each piece, which serve as further information within each shot. This is very powerful, as fashion and beauty can serve as a marker of societal norms as well as aspirations. This is very powerful, as well as a reflection of who people are. Costume in film is crucial to storytelling. The style of each character in this film visually carries the story as well, in a very unique way, rather than just being a visual extension of each character. The fashion in this horror film adds a degree of darkness, even in broad daylight, and in lighter scenes that creates an unseen heaviness. It's a very complex approach, but obviously felt by all of the characters, even though no one is dressed in a way that is traditionally quote-unquote scary. The director wanted the film to be a horror film about women, and rather than carrying this out within a traditionally masculine-driven narrative, which can be found in his other work, he delves into one about a woman's experience and relation to the obsession surrounding beauty in order to reflect the cultural obsession that many will encounter to some degree in the real world. It's very important to note that each character is a visual metaphor for a type of beauty or creator type role, making their fashion not only be a tangible depiction of themselves, but a reflection of a very real psychological pressure due to the sociological power of beauty within our society. Though this is a fictional story that is dramatized, and especially over the top, pushing boundaries, the characters often have very real aspects of people held over their heads, such as age, having work done, or experience, by which they are shamed, rather than letting them be able to embrace these parts of themselves. Even if they are proud at some point in the film, every character will experience shame over who they are in their pursuit for beauty because of others' opinions on how they should be, which is supplemented by their look and, by extension, their personal style. Costume designer Aaron Benak states about high fashion in the film: "We knew from the start that we needed to find clothing that would carry a story on its own, not only to show Jessie's evolution as a character, but also to depict the world we wanted to depict, which is sort of this alternate reality." The film brings the audience into this dramatically heightened world in the surreal opening scene that features Jessie on her first photo shoot, draped across a sofa in a spring 2015 Armani set. The entire shot was built around this outfit to capture the essence of the whole entire film in one single look. The reflective aspect of the garment was critical, as reflection plays a huge part in the symbolism and storytelling, along with the bold, cold, and warm hues, which act as a visual gauge for Jessie's transformation from a doe-eyed girl into the embodiment of vanity. The director stated, "On one level, beauty can be shallow and meaningless, and at the same time, it can be very sophisticated, philosophical, a mind-bending subject," he explains. The makeup in this scene sets the precedent for the distortion, hardness, menace, artifice around the subject by contrasting Jessie's pale, natural face with bright rhinestones, highly saturated tones, and fake blood. In the following scenes at the start of the film, Jessie's looks were loose fit and long, wearing a lot of Ulla Johnson, who is known for colorful and bohemian staples that have a very feminine sensibility, with New York and vacation destinations as inspiration. During this period, her style is high coverage and carries more of an ethereal essence that gives Jessie an otherworldly type look, either to contrast the darkness or align with the brightness of the environment that she's in, making her a radiant focal point throughout the film. Jessie's style has a high focus on innocence, sweetness, and being completely natural through pieces such as maxi dresses, peasant tops, skirts of lace, floral, chiffon, all in whites or soft pastels as the primary color scheme. Psychologically, pastels give a more calming emotion that is light, soft, and charming, such as Jessie's demeanor is at the start of the film. The three other women that the film focuses on dress in a manner that aligns with their type of beauty or role in relation to it.
Look at me. He calls me the bionic woman.
Gigi represents manufactured beauty. Her outfit is louder and more bold, with construction that relies on heavy angles. Sarah is meant to be an older model. Her outfit at the club where we first see her is this embellished mini dress ensemble with a lavish fur accessory and minimal jewelry. It's a look of glamour that she holds onto. Ruby's look is more polished and avant-garde, with a more professional undertone that adds a degree of hierarchy, while others view it purely as the goal. Her role is to create beauty. These characters' personal style is less done up and more functional, since their focus is not on the creator, but on their act of creating. With the lack of dialogue, the physical aspect of the film is heavily elevated, especially in the moments of creation, in which there's connections with subtle, meaningful movements. It offers a sensitivity with a wide range of emotions. The creators, such as designers, photographers, artists, etc. in this film, are all deeply drawn to Jessie. In this film, beauty isn't a single look, but rather the elusive it quality.
Jack shoots me all the time.
That's not gonna last.
Sarah, these girls come and go all the time. She's not special yet.
You have to admit there is something about her.
Like what?
She has that thing.
And Jessie is the only character to have it in this film, which makes the other girls very jealous of her, even though they all have this very unique beauty. Hence, she becomes the target as they all are climbing this hierarchy of beauty, which is believed to be the pinnacle of success in this world. Jessie's innocence stands in the way of her pursuit, and she begins to learn how to embrace herself in a way that she never has before. At the gold photo shoot, Jessie is engulfed by the gold paint and makeup. This has a psychological link to success, achievement, and triumph. The deeper shades are associated with prosperity, luxury, abundance, prestige, and value. Here she still holds a naivete, but is enlivened despite being unsure in the moment. There is still this vulnerability that has an awareness. For the casting call scene, the models are in undergarments that are just as delicate as how they are placed and walk throughout the scene. The image construction conveys high competition as well as Sarah's growing disdain for Jessie, who enchants the designer in a way that she just cannot. She exits the scene in a completely black look, an outfit with high contrast to the stark, light room, and the nude ensemble she had on before, where she is coming to realize that her career is in jeopardy. This is when she is facing the fact that she may become obsolete in the eyes of others, and her place in this very abstract beauty hierarchy falls.
I'm a ghost. What's it feel like to walk into a room and it's like in the middle of winter, you're the sun? It's everything.
Unlike Gigi, who doesn't even have to attend castings and can even choose her own outfit to wear for the fashion show. Despite this special treatment, Jessie continues to receive the best treatment by external forces, in spite of her newcomer status. Among the other models who have been working longer and which, rather than being a confidence boost and motivating her to work harder, it actually validates her growing ego and begins to set the foundation for future narcissistic tendencies. Jessie comes into her own and goes beyond during this time, giving into this overbearing, abstract world of beauty in the Runway sequence, where she begins to see her true potential and how others see her, which is conveyed by how all the models are disabled, while Jessie is carefully styled. At the end of the runway, Gigi turns and looks back at Jessie. Though a small detail, it's evident that this moment contributes to the underlying tension and horror building up in the film. She's no longer this sweet, innocent girl, but slowly growing to be more aware of herself physically, which is captured in the Giles gown embellished with Swarovski crystals that she wears for her runway debut. Swarovski is synonymous with the highest quality crystals, as they hold the hardness, brilliance, and fire identical to mined diamonds. This manufactured gleaming piece covers all of her body, except for the face. The costume designer stated it was chosen to enhance the dramatics of the lighting in relation to Jessie, so it could cover all of her skin in order to envelope all of her being into the dress. While some may see someone being so connected to a piece of clothing as something to be taken lightly, this piece is a highly emotionally fueled one for Jessie. This is a pivotal scene. The strobing lights go back and forth from blue and red, and ultimately land on red. Her former self is lost and she gives into her ego. She is no longer a girl who believes that she has no talents and models for money, but into a model who is longing for something more and aware of her value. After the show, invisibly charged by her own physical beauty and reflection, Jessie goes out to Dean, the first photographer she ever worked with, to a bar. She enters the scene with an entirely new look, shedding away who she was as she emerges into a hard-edged, strong model. Her makeup is now glacial and strips away the softness of her face into a brilliant, glamorous look that still has a natural aspect, but her warmth is now replaced with a deep coldness. The makeup in this film plays a huge part in conveying beauty and differing views on beauty. The makeup artist took a lot of inspiration from 1970s makeup artists, stating their work has a colorful graphic quality that plays well with Nicolas Refn's aesthetic sensibility, while Sarah is meant to be hard all around the edges. For Gigi, she is meant to be in full glam at all times, with Jessie's new internal state and style of grooming in terms of makeup and hair. She also has an entirely new wardrobe to complement it. Jessie is wearing an SLP 2015 ready-to-wear gold halter top, paired off with skin-tight leather pants and Christian Louboutin stilettos. The costume designer on this look states, "For that, I was inspired by Eddie Simon's Spring 2015 collection. I knew that is where I wanted Jessie to end up in terms of her look. I thought it was so rocker and so different from everything else that was coming out on the runway at the time."
There's always this attitude that you feel in his clothes, and it's a strange thing to be able to nearly sell an attitude, and he knows it very well.
I had this idea that Elle would transform into something like the ad campaign. There is just the 70s glam with a hard edge. It doesn't feel like a straight up runway piece. It feels more like clothing. This is a very crucial aspect of wardrobe to note, because the other models are constantly with a very high-end designer look that does look straight off the runway, but Jessie continues to be elevated in a differing way that is unattainable, yet still very down to earth. The significance of Jessie's resemblance to an ad campaign is very relevant. Ad campaigns do not only sell product, but also the lifestyle values and imagery that one may align themselves with, that is created and crafted by the designer, and all of those who work to bring their vision to life. It visually confirms how Jessie possesses this it factor that is so longed for, that others will look to.
You want to be like them?
I don't want to be them. They want to be me.
Though this film is set in a dramatically fabricated world, the costume designer wanted certain aspects to show the modeling industry more accurately. This is an added degree of realism and blurred the line of horror and reality through the fashion of the models, which would heighten each scene because it looked like it could be real, but plays out in complete dramatics. In the film's final scene, Sarah and Gigi are on a futuristic photo shoot in sculptural garments that are hard-edged, that one would be fastened into with binding leather. The end scene was written in actually after seeing the pieces, in order to incorporate the looks into the film. The finale's roots stem from the fashion, which is constricting, jarring, and cage-like, much like the film's disturbing ending, which acts as a metaphor for beauty in real life. It's clear that Gigi is experiencing remorse, while Sarah isn't too emotional. Gigi was defined as someone who was unnaturally beautiful, despite her success, and others will get to her, so her clothing highlights her weakened emotional state, and she is caged in. She is physically unable to handle the it factor that had made Jessie so special, because her beauty doesn't align with it. Sarah, who felt like a ghost because she used to have the factor that Jessie was so admired for, steals it back without any remorse. But Sarah focused on what she could be and what she could do to achieve, has her clothing act more like armor for her to go through the world. Research says that through enclosed cognition, the clothes we wear have an impact on our behaviors, attitudes, personalities, moods, confidence, and even the way that we interact with others. This is a very complicated relationship, as no one will feel or experience the piece in the same way. So even when styled similarly, people will undergo different emotional impacts. Much like the outfits in the end, the film serves as societal relevance to tell the story of how striving for beauty can shape and constrain people. It's not meant to be taken very literally. It is open to interpretation. To me, I saw this as a disconnect between exterior and internal beauty. While they are all striving to climb this hierarchy of beauty, it is so highly subjective and can never actually be done, even though Jessie seems to be this character who has it all.
You work with all the top designers. International success.
You're in the show.
Yeah.
This show.
Yes.
In reality, she is a girl disconnected from herself and wanting more still for the wrong reasons, despite being at the so-called top, due to having an unhealthy relationship with the concept of beauty in terms of her ego, which is one that is very difficult since this is an internal relationship that can have external pressures or influences. The Neon Demon visually depicts the struggle and oppression that beauty has over many people, especially women, despite this being a very graphic and shocking film with a lot of wonder-like imagery. The emotional distress, unsaid, sadly, forced competition, and pressures are applicable and found in real life. Many studies and experiences reflect how people's looks will have a strong influence over their success. authority, trustworthiness, intelligence, and suitability for all aspects of life. Fashion and beauty are often dismissed as frivolous, vain, and meaningless, but do have great value and contribution to shaping a person in terms of self-image, expression, acceptance, and external perception. The film's use of fashion acted not only as an extension of the characters and visual storytelling, but elevated the experience, since it added so much more depth to a film that heavily relies on visual narratives. Fashion in real life can do the same. It can curate a look with motive, allow for one to come into themselves in order to achieve their coveted look, or be in true alignment with one, acting as a tangible reflection of the inner self to the outer world. Their fashion can serve them over all else, elevate themselves, and act as a form of embrace, no matter where they are or the opinion of others. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and comment. Thank you so much for watching.